Hey guys and girls, hope you're all well. Board now back with you. On this video I will be talking about the first episode of All of Us Are Dead, episode 1, so I will be going into spoilers, although not too much to spoil in this first episode. Most of it is set up, so this is the new Netflix Korean show, Netflix zombie Korean show I should add. So the setup is most of the action is set at this one high school where there is like an outbreak of a virus, which obviously as things develop they discover that there's a zombie plot going on, and it's kind of linked to this one science teacher who's Mr. Lee's name is, and obviously you have the lab, and sort of during the course of the first episode this one girl who's been in the lab all night ends up being bitten by, I can't remember which animal now, it's slipped my, but by like a mouse. She's bitten by a mouse, and obviously the mouse must have been infected. She appears to be affected, and things spiral from there, because what happens is the other kids and the teacher, they start wondering where she is because she's disappeared, and it's revealed that Mr. Lee has basically chained her up or tied her up to like the radiator in his office, and things start to spiral and more people get infected, more people get attacked over the course of the first episode, and it slowly builds to this massive sort of outbreak and big, incident at the end of the episode. But the episode starts in the past, where we actually see that Mr. Lee's son has been infected in the past, and we see him having to confront that and trying to kill his son because there's no other choice. And there's a bit of suspense over exactly what's happened to Mr. Lee, because he starts acting funny in class and there's speculation from the students. So there's a little bit of, not quite certain what's going on there, whether he's been maybe infected at some point, maybe from his son, or if he's just acting on edge because of the whole situation. And it's a little bit up in the air when he obviously ties this one student up, but it appears as though he's doing that because he's trying to stop the spread. And you get a bunch of different characters around the school. It sort of looks at things like class and the difference in class. You do get this one set of students who appear to live in a very sort of privileged sort of way. You get this kind of gate and this sort of divide between different classes at school as they come into school, and you also get certain modern stuff like social media bullying. There's a couple of really nasty, douchey bullies who bully people around the school, and that stuff gets quite serious. This is at times quite dark, so I think obviously in this sort of show they are being primed to be sort of killed off. But so just to give my overall thoughts, it's a solid pilot. I enjoyed it a fair bit. I enjoyed the style of it. I enjoyed how pulpy it was. There's a good opening scene actually, because the very first scene is that we actually see the main sort of bully characters go after this one kid on the roof, and it's revealed that they sort of do regular sort of things up on the roof, and it's a big fight, and it sort of has this. It's very well shot, it's sort of rain drenched and quite noirish, and you've got a swirling sort of camera type technique, but it's also very over the top and pulpy because they sort of the action is a bit like that, and it's in your face, and at one point he gets knocked off the roof and he hits this big light, sort of like a neon style light, and hits the ground, and we find out that he's been infected. He's a zombie, so that sort of answers why he's still alive. But it does have a good style. It has a very eye-catching style, and I think the horror moments land very well. I think because there's not actually that many horror moments, but they sort of make good use of them in this episode, and there's some good payoff. The makeup effects I thought were good. It looked convincing, and there's some good stuff with like when one of the science teachers, or just one of the teachers in general, where you have like the two bullies sort of mocking her type thing, and they're like filming her on her phone because she's doing something weird, and that's sort of their whole thing. But she turns it around on them, and it obviously turns out, and she goes after, well, both of them really, but she infects one in particular. So the horror moments were well used, and the character stuff is decent enough. I think the cast are pretty solid. They do feel like real life, like school children, teenagers, and I think that grounds it quite nicely and gives it a good base to sort of go from. And there's some decent enough drama. I think some of the stuff with the bullies and the social media stuff, I think they stretched that a bit far, I think they could have reined that in a bit. It's like they were going for too much of a point, but I guess it probably will pay off because if they're sort of set up for the thing. But it does go really dark because one girl who's like on the end of it is at one point considering killing herself, and she almost does kill herself. And in the end, she's sort of partly saved because it's when this outbreak is going off and there's students flying out the window. So she actually, that's what shocks her in not doing it. But there's this other guy who has a bit of a crush on her, who likes trying to talk her out of it. And there's certain things going on with these like set of characters who hang about, and one of their parents has like a restaurant that opens during the episode, and some of it is standard teen drama, but the characters were pretty likeable. The ones that were supposed to be, and the ones that aren't are definitely totally unlikable. So solid enough. I didn't think the character stuff was that amazing, but there's obviously time to build it, and I think this episode is entertaining. I think it's stylish. The horror moments, as I said, worked, and you've got a pretty solid cast, so not bad stuff overall. I think it's overlong, definitely. Like the first episode is 66 minutes long, and that's too long for something like this. It just is really. Also, there's 12 episodes, and most episodes are like hovering around the hour mark. The next episode is even longer, I think. I think it's 70 minutes. And just because of the premise, you wonder how they can stretch it out that far, but we'll see. I mean, I'm enjoying it so far. The first episode was decent stuff, so I'll continue with it. And that's All of Us Are Dead, episode 1. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and like and subscribe as always. I will just remind you then, if you like horror content, me and Rachel McDonald do regular horror movie reviews, and we do some TVs, but we tend to do movie horror franchise. Like, we've worked our way through the Scream movies. We've just started on the Wrong Turn series, and we've also done other like bigger franchises like the Halloween franchise, and we also did the Fear Street franchise, the trilogy that was released on Netflix last year. So if you're into your horror, then check out some of my reviews with Rachel. But I'll be back with more TV reviews soon. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.